a couple of requests to record the meeting, so I'm starting the recording now. And if you have any questions, type them in there, and then I'll try to address them as we proceed. Okay, so I've got about 18 people who are logged in here. So I can't turn over a presenter to anybody because all 18 would be sent to one particular customer. So if you have some specific questions, address them to me directly through email, or go ahead and type them on the message box here, and I will go ahead and address those as we can here. So we're waiting for a couple more here. I think we had 18, and we've got about 9 here that have keyed in already. So again, if you could put your phone on mute so we don't have any background noise. Can everybody hear okay and see the screen? If you can't, go ahead and put those in there. All right. So what I wanted to do is we're going to have some people joining us probably as we proceed. As I said, there's 10 now that are here, and 18 asked to join. So they may be trickling in slowly. Okay, the first thing I wanted to talk about was updates. If you go to our website, www.barcoders.com, and then do slash purchase orders, I'm sorry, that's wrong. If you go to barcoders.com and then slash updates.php, you can get a running list of the updates that we've done over the years, and most recently it shows the version number and then when it was released, and above that are the most recent releases. So our current release that we sent just yesterday was version 15.02. If you're not on 15.02, then you're not up to date, and you're missing out on all these updates or bug fixes or whatever that we've done over the last year, the last couple of years. We had one customer that complained because there wasn't certain functionality, and then come to find out they were clear back on version 10, which was several, like 2013. So they haven't updated in 4 years, over 4 or 5 years. To update, you can do that on your own. I'll step you through that here real quick. The update process is real simple. There should be on your RF server, you go to this PC, the C drive, and there should be under the program file, there should be a Barcoders folder. And in the Barcoders folder, there's a program called barcodersupdater.exe. At any time you want to run it, you just right-click on it and click Run as Administrator. It will pop up and say, are you sure you want to do this? Yes. And then you'll get a little dialog box that says Upgrade. You click on that, and if there's any alterations to the database that need to be done, it will, and any that might affect your Stone Edge users, it will warn you about that. And then you should go ahead and exit, have all your exit here, have all your people log out sometime in the evening or early before work gets started, and then run this update off hours, especially if it's making changes to the inventory table. Once it's complete, if everybody's out of Stone Edge and the database isn't locked, importing orders or some other trigger that's running in the background, then the update should take just a minute or two, and then it'll say you've been upgraded to version 15.02, and then all of your programs that subsequently run on the scanners will be updated to the latest version as well. And the wireless order fulfillment system, this web console that we give you, which we call the WOFS, wireless order fulfillment system, we refer that in email, will be updated as well, and it should show you the version 15.02. You're in the Stone Edge version, and you can log in here. I'm going to log in here, and we're going to talk about some of the things here that are new as well. So that's how you can tell that you've successfully updated when the version number in the wireless order fulfillment system is current and it matches what's on our website under Barcoders.com, updates.php. The current version is 15.02, and all of the benefits and bug fixes, et cetera, are listed here. So that's the first thing I wanted to cover. We have a lot of new programs that we've released. A lot of them are programs that, you know, we've sold probably over 300 Stone Edge systems. We have about 90 or 95 customers that are Stone Edge customers that are currently on the Elite software program, where you get updates and you get you know, the level that you've subscribed to, you get support on those as well. So we get a lot of good input back from everybody, and so most of the programs, or as a matter of fact, all of the program are designed by Stone Edge customers for Stone Edge customers, so they're probably be beneficial to everyone in this seminar if you look at them and evaluate them and see how they can have a value in your warehouse operations. All right, so the other thing that I wanted to mention is the barcode printing software programs that should be on the desktop of your RF server are Portaprint, Barcode Labeler, and Barcode Maker File. And those three come free with your subscription to the Elite software plan. They should be on the desktop of your RF server. Portaprint allows you to print barcodes, SKU barcodes from the desktop. Let me show you real quick. If we get in here, the SKU barcodes look like this that are printed from Portaprint. Here on the right, they give you the description, the SKU, the barcode, and then the current location is printed, and those are on the size label that you choose when you select it. But there's updates to those as well that we made for Scrapbook.com last year. Normally we don't support those, but there were some issues that they brought up that were certainly be helpful for everyone, like memorizing your settings. We now support EPL or ZPL printers, and you can do either 2.3 by 1 or 2" by 1 labels. And when you exited this, it didn't remember that, and so you had to select that every time. And so now when you select your choice and hit end, it will now remember that, so the next time you get into any one of these three programs, it will remember the format of the label and the language that your printer uses. So those are updated as well. Unfortunately, those don't update. Portaprint does, but Barcode Labeler and Barcode Maker File does not update when you run that updater that I just showed you. So you'll have to email me if you use those a lot and you want the current version that supports the multiple languages and multiple, you know, the labels. Just email me and I'll zip them up and send them over to you via email. Now, a lot of people say, well, can we do this and can we do that? Because we offer these free of charge, we don't do a lot of modification and updates to them, and we don't support additional format and labels. They're free. We don't get any revenue off of these, and so as a result, they're just rudimentary programs that are designed to get you started labeling your shelves and your SKUs, and maybe an occasional broken or damaged label here or there. And so if you need more robust functionality, there's programs out there. One is called Bartender by, I think it's Siegel Scientific. And so if you just Google Bartender, barcode label maker, barcode software, Bartender barcode software, it will come up and you can see that there's a lot of people that sell it, and there's different levels of that as well. And you can get the version that matches your needs So that's what we recommend if you have functionality, barcode printing functionality needs that exceed the 3 programs that we offer at no charge. All right, so again, if you have any questions, just put them in there, and we'll I'll answer those as we proceed here. One of the questions that came up just recently was, how do we operate faster and better? And one of the things that we've never addressed over the years is updating technology. What we've done is we've tried to be PCI compliant so that your wireless scanners and your access points are PCI compliant, and that's what we've the floor or the baseline that we've tried to achieve. So everyone that is using our current scanners and software and access points are normally PCI compliant. There's a couple still out there that aren't, but they've signed waivers, so you're on your own. But we do offer better scanners, faster scanners. If you go to our website, Barcoders.com, and click under advanced, click under Stone Edge, there'll be several different order management systems that come up. If you click under Stone Edge or any of them, the same step 2 here lists the current scanners that we have in stock and the prices that we have available for those. The newer scanners, the Datalogic Scorpio X3, the Datalogic Falcon, and the Motorola MC3090 are much faster, and they support the 5 gigahertz wireless. So if you have the dual channel access points, which you can tell if you do by looking at them, if they have the 4 antennas protruding from the back, and there's 4 antennas, then they support 2.5, and they also support 5 gigahertz, which is a faster network. And the MC3190 and the Falcon X3 and the Scorpio X3 you can set them to go at the faster rate at the 5 gigahertz, and then the scanning goes a lot quicker, and the response to and from the RF server. And so generally overall, your warehouse experience is sped up by updating to the faster scanners and the faster 5 gigahertz network, provided you have the infrastructure, the access points, and the scanners to support that. So if you are interested in that and you want to know more about that, go ahead and email me, and we can have an email conversation about that as well. Now, many of you have asked, okay, well, Stone Edge is, Barney sold Stone Edge, and now it's been sold to Weiwei Li, and what's the future of Stone Edge? I'm not privy to what Weiwei is doing, but we're rock solid with Stone Edge. We're supporting them. That's our biggest user base right now, and so we're continuing to release new programs, and we're continuing to support. So we'll still be around as long as as long as the business demand is there, which I don't see waning from our end anytime in the future. Regardless, there have been some Stone Edge users that have come to us and said, "Hey, we've got to get away from Stone Edge. What do we do? What are we going to do? How do we do that?" Well, if you go to our website again, we list here some of the alternatives that we support. Right now, Skubana is kind of coming forward. They're a cloud-based solution. They've come to us and said, "Hey, we want to work with you. Can you develop a system for us?" And so we've worked with Skubana, and we have a Skubana release that does a portion of what Stone Edge does. Obviously, Stone Edge has been around for 18 years. Skubana is about 2 years old, and so the offerings there aren't as mature, nor are the number of offerings as numerous as we have with Stone Edge, because obviously the Trek history is not there. But we also support NetSuite, and we're currently working on a couple of other implementations, one for Freestyle Solutions, which is a cloud-based OMS system, and also for the old MOM 10, the old premise-based database solution as well. So we're working on those at their request. They approached us and asked us if we would interface with them. So shortly you'll see that the 6-bits will go away. Probably we'll still support our 6-bit user, but in its place you'll see Freestyle Solutions and then MOM 10, which will be 2 that we're now going to support as well. It appears in the near future. So those are some alternative. I know that some of you have emailed me and said, well, what about this solution and what about this solution? Our issue is, can we get critical mass to where we can get 5 or 6 customers using that order management system, and are they willing to interface with us? A couple have emailed us, and we've approached the company, and they said, well, we have a competing product to what you offer, and therefore we don't want you to integrate with us. And so we've kind of been turned away by their offering, although they don't offer the full complement and the full 360 warehouse operations that we do. All right, so just gonna move on here. We now introduced a 4th level of software. The level that we have is level 1, level 2, and level 3. So most of you are on one of these levels here: level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 3 was you can start off by just picking, verifying, signing orders, then you can start managing the warehouse as well by doing bin assign, cycle count, etc. And then you can move into receive POs and directed put away with receive, PO put away, sort put away. And then these are some programs that have been requested over the last year or so by StoneEdge users that we've added. One is called country of origin assign, where it's just you scan the barcode and then you key in the country of origin, and then it updates that in StoneEdge. A real simple program. Dimensions allows you to enter the weight, the height, and the depth for a specific, and the weight as well for a specific SKU. That was necessary for the new UPS rates that came into effect a couple years ago. So some of our customers wanted us someone wanted us to offer those, and so we did that. We have bin assign 2. Bin assign 2 is a little bit different than the bin assign. The bin assign 2 was designed for those of you that aren't using receive, the StoneEdge receive process to receive product and put them away. And bin assign 2 is when you're tracking quantities and you can quickly replace an existing bin, add SKUs, etc., etc. It's designed for those of you that don't create POs in StoneEdge and you want to quickly receive and put away items, and it also supports the cross-dock. Cycle count was a program that allows you to count a SKU by bin location. In the past, you counted by SKU, and so you scanned a SKU and it would show you the SKU. With cycle count 2, what you do is you count by bin location. So you scan a bin, and what it does is it looks up all the items that are in that bin, and then you can scan the SKU that you're counting and then enter the count. And so it was a little bit easier way of doing cycle count, and was the idea of one of our customers, and so we've implemented that. Transfer is a new program that allows you to transfer cycle count. We just pulled out the transfer function. It's spelled wrong here. We pulled out the transfer function of cycle count and put that as a standalone program to make it quicker, so you don't have as many keystrokes as you have to hit within cycle count to transfer from one bin to the other. Now, we do have a couple of customers that go about their warehouse management differently than others, and let me quickly go over what they do. What they have is, when an order comes out, they want to be able to go ahead and build all their kits ahead of time, and then have those sitting in a box, ready to go. And then when you pick an order, they want to be able to pick an order without picking the kit parts that have already been picked. And so Kit Builder allows you to build the kits. It pulls out all the kit parts and packages the kits separately, and then you can go into the wireless order fulfillment system over here. And let me show you under settings. We've added a lot of settings here now. So it reflects kind of the maturity of the product. So under settings, if you go into picking, you can say skip kit components. You can say yes, and then as you pick orders, it will skip over the kit components and just have you pick the non-kit components. So the idea is that the kits have already been pre-picked. They've been packaged in a separate box denoting the kit. They're sitting there, and you want to deliver those in the box so for customer delight. So when the customer opens up the box, here's the kit already packaged in a separate packaging or in an envelope or a clear plastic bag that allows you to to them to see that the kit is there and it's contained. So you can use kit pick to pick the kits, and then you can skip the kits in picking, and then pick or multi-pick will skip over kits if you've selected that. Now this just brings up another subject right above that: suppress good scan beep. Some of our customers in picking, they wanted to speed up their picking, and they didn't want our scanner to pause and go beep beep on pick or multi-pick. So you can come in here and you can suppress that good beep, so it will only beep on a bad pick. So the good beeps, you won't hear those, and so you can breeze through picking, bing, 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 and but if you pick the wrong item, you'll still get the tone telling you that you have the wrong item, and so you can suppress that as well. So we'll go through some of these given our allotment of time here that we have. So let me just go back and review some of the questions that have come up so far. One of the questions was, do you support a generic API for software you don't support? Most of what we do is pulling data. The answer to that just is no. We don't have a generic API that interfaces with our system. But we do have a generic universal offering, which is different than the Stone Edge offering that you guys are using, that allows us to quickly modify it to be used with another OMS's API. So an API generally is used to push out information to inquiring applications and clients, and so. Like a thermometer, you'll ask it what's the temperature, and it will respond back. And so, since we typically don't have anything that we push out, we absorb information from the API rather than push out information to the API. So we might look at that in the future, but right now we don't have that available. Another question was, has there been any integration with Channel Advisor? Yeah, we have about a dozen Channel Advisor users, and we had a Channel Advisor offering separate from Stone Edge offering. The problem that we had with Channel Advisor was everybody did everything so unique that we had we still have a dozen Channel Advisor customers, but each one of them had different demands, and so we're making all these modifications for their different business processes, and essentially it started splintering into 12 separate programs because each one did business so differently. So we stopped supporting Channel Advisor, at least offering it to new customers because of that, and the existing Channel Advisor customers that we told them we would continue to support them, but we wouldn't make any enhancements or modifications to their software base because it was just getting unmanageable on our end. So I hope that answers the question there. All right, so if we move on, one of the questions that came up that I wanted to get your feedback on was the reserved unshipped. You know that down here under reserved unshipped, what Stone Edge does, as many of you are aware of this, is at the time that you import orders from in Stone Edge, they subtract the quantity, the quantity that's on those orders from the QOH. So when you use our lookup program, and I'll go ahead and quickly start it up right here. When you use our lookup program, it pulls in the RUS for, I'm sorry, can't even do my own system here, sorry. All right, so when you do, I'll do a lookup on a specific SKU. Okay, so when we look that up, right now the reserved unshipped of this one is there's no reserved unshipped. So let me try another one here that might have a reserved unshipped. No reserved unshipped so far. There we go. All right, that one, CI 1826 has a reserved unshipped of 1. So let me quickly show you in the wireless order fulfillment system. If you do an RUS detail report, I can come here and I can enter that same SKU, and then I get an application error. All right, on yours, what will happen is it will show up and it will list how we come up with the RUS. So you'll get a report that shows you the orders that have been picked and the orders that haven't been picked, and how we arrive at that RUS of 1. Now, the way that we've calculated that in the past is we took the beginning order number here, and then what we did is we went back and we searched at all of the orders that have been imported but haven't been picked, verified, or shipped. So if they haven't been, and that's a progression over the years. So first of all, when it was first implemented, you had to use our system 100% with picking orders. And so the only thing it would recognize is if an order had been picked with our system. Then when we expanded it to if the order has been verified with our system, and then about 5 years ago or so, we look in the Stone Edge field to see if that order has been shipped. So exclude order items with date shipped. You have to set that to yes, and then it will look at all 3 of those. So again, to calculate the RUS, it goes back to the beginning order number, and then it looks at all of the open orders that haven't been picked, verified, or shipped yet, and it accumulates all of those as the RUS, and that's how the RUS number is calculated. It then adds that to the Stone Edge QOH, and that's what should be in the bin. So if you walk into your warehouse and you want to do a physical count, then that's what should physically be in the bin. All right. Now there's one sitting out here on the crossdock as well. So that hasn't been received, and it has been received, but it hasn't been placed into a location yet. So that's why it's over here separately, to show you that there's one on the crossdock or in the receive dock. So the question that came up was, if we do that, then you have an order number that's valid today, and then in a month that order number has increased significantly to the number of orders that you've received and canceled and all that from that time until sooner. So to keep this really speedy and fast, you need to go back in here and update the beginning order number ID every so often. And so a good suggestion came in from one of our customers that said, look, instead of going back to the beginning order number and having a beginning order number in there, which makes us update that periodically, can we change that to be a look back days? In other words, to say look back so many days, and then you don't have to go in there and periodically maintain that number, which is a very good suggestion considering our migration from where we started with the RUS to where we are today. So the question that I wanted to present to everybody here is, would anyone here have an objection or see any a disadvantage if we stopped calculating the RUS by starting at the beginning order number, instead did a look back date of, and then that look back date could be variable. You would enter the number of days in there that you want to look back, just like we do on the pick list. Number of days to include would be 14. So this is a look back day for generating pick lists that looks back 14 days. So in other words, we would replace this beginning order number with look back 14 days, and you could put in there 20 days or 30 days. So it would still be configurable by your business rules, but it would also be something that you wouldn't have to go in there and periodically update. Again, that makes all your things like cycle count and lookup run faster, because it's a SQL query that's run on demand at the time that you run lookup or cycle count that goes in there and calculates the RUS. So to make it speedy, you should be updating that every so often. And so that's the general question that I send out that we kind of want back feedback from you on. So if I don't hear from anybody, I would like, yeah, that's a great idea, if you can send me an email, or if you can say, I don't know that I want that to happen. But I think it would improve, it would make your scan run quicker, and again, it wouldn't be something that you have to go in there and periodically update. So anybody want to have any comment on that, you can go ahead and email me or make a comment on the message line there. All right, now you'll notice that lookup here may look different from what's on your screen. And in the past, I haven't been able to show you this because the SQL database was running on a different server. So for this particular demonstration, I wanted just to show you the different inventory ways that you can manage your warehouse. Right now, this is the out-of-the-box way of running your warehouse. You can have up to 4 locations, but it only shows you the aggregate quantity in the bin for all of those 4 locations. So there's 82, but you'd have to go count what's in location 1, 2, 3, and 4 in order to see how that 82 is divided across those 4 locations, if that makes sense. To change that, we have a way, unfortunately, that it's so critical that we don't want people being able to make that change in the wireless order fulfillment system here. So we've never added it in here as something that you can turn on, off, or change. And what you have to do, and I'm going to show you here how to do that. You have to go into your SQL database. And so when you go into your SQL database, this would be your SQL database manager. When you buy our system and back when you install our system, and every time you run Updater, what our system does is it adds additional tables and fields to specific tables that our system needs in order to run. In the past, we tried to use existing Stone Edge fields in tables that existed, and we ran into problems because there were customizations that many of our customers had done, and we were stepping on some of those customizations. So what we've done for the last 10 years is we've created our own tables and/or fields in Stone Edge, and so we don't overwrite anything that's there. And some of you have triggers that take our existing fields and write to the old fields just because you had reports written and stuff, and that's okay. But in order to change the different inventory management systems that we have, is you go into your database, and there's a table called RF inventory settings, and you go into that, and you need to edit it, and there's only one row, and that's where all of the settings that you see here in this settings file, they're all kept in that file. So be careful that you don't change any of them that you don't intend to change. So what you do is you would scroll over here where it says track quantities. Now there's 3 ways that you can track quantities. No is the way that I showed you, that it doesn't track quantities, and it just shows you the aggregate quantity for everything. And the other way, there's 2 other ways. One is what we call dependent mode, and the other is called independent mode. So I'm going to get out of this, back to the main menu, and now I'm going to go back into the SQL database, and I'm going to show you the dependent mode. So you change this field to DEP, and then you save it, and now what happens is when at the time that lookup or cycle count or any of our other programs that use it are ran, they go and they look up that setting. So now if I go into lookup, you'll notice that the format that shows on the screen is different. And if I scan that same barcode that was before, now you can see that it shows you the locations, but it also shows you the quantity by those locations. And so now I'm showing that in those 4 locations, there's 75 here, there's 2 here, I'm sorry, 3 here and 3 here, and there's none here. There's 1 out on the cross-dock, and there's 1 in RUS, and Stone Edge shows a quantity on hand of 81. Now, to show this additional information, there's a trade-off. One is we had to remove the description from here because of the limited real estate that we have. And number 2, when you go to pick items now, because you've turned on tracking by location, when you go to pick an order, it will require you to scan the barcode of the location where you are removing the quantity. So it adds an additional step into your picking or your multi-picking process, and it shows you less information on the lookup, but it gives you more information as far as the various locations across the warehouse and what's in those locations. Now, dependent mode, which is what I just set it to, calculates it calculates the quantity in location 1, and so you're never out of balance. And here's what it does: is it takes the QOH, it adds the RUS, which would be 82, and then it subtracts. And then it adds in the crossdock, which is 83, I believe, and then it subtracts what's in the other locations, and the difference is put in location 1. So you're always in balance. So you never know if you're in balance or out of balance, but it's really helpful if you only have 2 locations, or if you want to run your company that way. And that's the way that Barney Stone was going to do it when he was going to implement version 6 way back when he was going to do warehouse management and all that, and the version that never came into being. So that's the dependent mode. Again, it adds up all that and then subtracts what's in the other quantities, and it has it. So location 1 Q quantity is a derived quantity, and if there's any change that you have to make it to the QOH, and then it will ripple down and change the quantity in that location. So if you need more information on that, and you want to change, then let me know. All right, now I'm going to get out of this, and I'm going to show you changing it now to the independent mode. And if I go ahead and edit that top row again, and now I've changed it from no to DEP, and now I'm going to type in yes. So the 3 ways of modifying, the 3 ways that we allow you to manage your warehouse are putting no in there, capital NO, capital DEP, or capital YES, and then saving it. And now what happens is you're in independent tracking mode, and it does track quantities by location. So I'm going to go back into lookup, and I'm going to scan that SKU again, and you'll notice now that we added a field here called delta, or delta usually means the difference. So what it's doing is it's now calculating, it now uses a different field that we add called L1 QTY, L2 QTY, L3 QTY, L4 QTY, and CD QTY. Those are additional fields that we use, and that's where we store this number in the inventory table of the Stone Edge database. And so it now shows us that we're off by 5. So sure enough, if you took the quantity on hand and added that's 82, and then you subtracted 3 from that, and then 3 from that, that would be 75, and there's only 70 in that first location, and therefore we're off by 5. So the way to correct that would be to go into cycle count and make a correction to the location that's off. In other words, you'd now make a correction to either the QOH, cycle count. Now, incidentally, the format is changed to reflect the the different mode that you're running in. It's identical to lookup, but in here you can actually make some changes. You can change the location, the quantity in those locations, or you can change both by typing B, and then you can or you can change your QOH on that. So, all right, so that's kind of a summation of the different tracking modes. Now, one thing that's new that we're pretty excited about is we just recently offered our first step in supporting fulfillment by Amazon, and so here's how it works. You need a printer, obviously, so you need to be able to add a printer somewhere on your network, and now under here, under verify, there's actually two additional fields. One says print 2D content barcodes if web ID starts FBA. So in the web ID of the StoneEdge database, if that web ID for that specific item, that order, I believe it is, starts with FBA, then it will allow you to generate a label at the verify step. Now, that's the only place that we could determine where this was appropriate to add. So you would need to use our program called Verify, and what happens is at the time that you verify, it starts off when you verify an order with BX1, and so it will know that, and as you scan items and put in that box, then it keeps a track. Verify will now keep track of what you put in that box. And now as soon as you type BX to increment the box from box 1 to box 2, it now knows what's in that box, and it will immediately print out an FBA label for that. It prints out all the information that's in one of the requirements for fulfillment by Amazon that they've listed. And so it will then print out a two-dimensional barcode if the web ID starts with FBA, and then you edit your label printer here, so you can go into your label printer. Let me go back into settings, and so when I click on edit, then any label, any printer that is on there, you can select that printer. So I would select this printer right here, for example, and I can give it a nomenclature or a mnemonic of anything that I want. So, for example, if you're using the QLN 320 portable printer, and you have 5 of those, and they're sitting on a table, then you might label one of those, PTR01. And so when you name that PTR01, then what happens is PTR01 is now this particular printer, and now you could generate a barcode called PTR01 and put that physically on that QLN printer that has that specific IP address that points to. And then you could have PTR 02 and 03, 04, and 05 on your 5 printers, just as a little barcode on there. So when you go into verify now, and I'm gonna go back to settings, and I'm gonna turn that on. If you go into verify, and when you verify an order, and I'm not sure if I have an order in here that has an FBA on it, but when I go into verify an order, and I'll verify this order. This order's already been verified. I'm going to verify it again. Now you'll notice that it says box 1 right here. So if I scan 3 or 4 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now if I type BX and increment to the next box, it will now increment to the next box, and it would have printed out a two-dimensional label to be placed on the side of that box for your fulfillment by Amazon requirements. All right, and then the next items that I scan would be put in that box, and it would now immediately print out a label for that second box that you would put on the second box for fulfillment by Amazon. Now, it just prints a little 2D label. It'll print on that small 2-inch by 1-inch label in PDF 417, which meets the FBA requirements in one of their definitions of that. So we've released that just recently, and we're eager to have people test it and try it to see how that works, to see if there's anything that any bugs in it, or work through that. So, all right. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that additional level that we offer here, this level 4. For those of you that are on level 3 and want to take advantage of these, you just pay a $50 a month difference, and it upgrades all of your scanner licenses. So it doesn't matter if you have 5 licenses or 50 licenses. Just the $50 a month will move you from level 3 to level 4, and then we'll have to install these additional programs, and you'll have the ability to use them as well. So Kit Builder and Kit Picker, I went over those, and then Assembly Builder is for assemblies. The way that Stone Edge defined assemblies was an assembly has its own SKU, and the subcomponents of the assembly are pre-gathered, put together, and put in a box and stored on the shelf. So an assembly is an item that's sitting there that has different stuff in it, but the assembly has, and so the assembly has a QOH on it, but the quantity of the subcomponents in the box are not do not show on the QOH for those specific SKUs, if that makes sense. So if I had, say, Sloppy Joe mix, and I had a pound of hamburger and some tomato sauce and some seasoning and a pack of hamburger buns, those 4 items would each have a QOH, right? Because they're separate items. When I build an assembly called Sloppy Joe, then the Sloppy Joe QOH goes up by 1, and the QOH for each one of those 4 components is decremented by 1. And now I've built that assembly, and now I can pack it up and put it in the freezer and set it on the shelf, and that's ready as a separate SKU, ready to be pulled and picked on its own. And so that's a different definition of assembly in Stone Edge vernacular. It's a kit that's pre-assembled and put together, and the QOHs are decremented from their child SKUs and put on the shelf, and so it has its own QOH. So we have a program available called Assembly Builder, where you can key in the Stone Edge assembly number and the quantity, and then the program will direct you around the warehouse to pick and build all those assemblies, and then the QOH of the assembly will be incremented by 1 when you're all done with that. All right. Okay, so that's about all I had on my agenda today. I wanted to find out if anyone had any questions, so I'll go back and look at the questions. Another question that came up was, can you do custom sounds when the wrong item is picked? We have the ability to make some custom sounds within reason, but what we do is within that application that we use right here, what we can do is we can turn on the sounder, and we can vary the frequency of the sounder, and we can vary the duration of the sounder. So we can make it a high-pitched or low-pitched noise, and we can make it quick or slow. So within reason, we have the ability to customize the sound when the wrong item is picked. So in order to implement that, what we would have to do is we would have a setting here, for example, that would be under general settings, that we would add a setting that says generate a custom sound when the items are wrong, and it would say yes, and then you would have to put in the the parameters for the sound, and then you would save that, and then our system would look that up. But there would, since that's an enhancement and that would affect all of the programs, there would probably be a minimal charge for that, unless we could get everybody to agree that that's something that would be useful for them. So let me move on to the next one. Someone just brought up the stack controller, and so that reminds me, I was going to talk about the Barney Stones applications that our system supports. There's a couple things within StoneEdge. People have always said, look, we want to be able to view if I'm doing, I'll go back here to lookup, and if I'm generating, let me do an employee. What am I in QLN print? No, I don't want to be in there, sorry. I'll go back into lookup. All right, lookup and scan the SKU. All right, so we have these various locations and we have the quantities, right? So the first thing that Barney did for us is we paid Barney to develop it. So you don't have to pay Barney the development fee, but he charges a minimal fee to install it and configure it. So I think it's like $500, and he puts it on all your workstations. And what he does is he generated a screen within StoneEdge that looks like this. And I'm not sure where it is, and I'm not sure what it replaced, but now there's a screen within StoneEdge that Barney generated for us that allows you to view the various locations, the 4 locations and the crosstalk, and be able to look at the locations on there. And then you can transfer between locations, or you can change them right from within StoneEdge. So that's a real cool application that many of our customers have asked for. Some of them didn't even know it existed. But Barney has developed that for us, and it's a real helpful tool for those of you that are managing your warehouse with multiple locations, and you've turned on quantity tracking. So that's a real helpful, and from my perspective, it's a very inexpensive and very useful add-on that Barney will do. So contact Barney Stone at Barney Stone Software and ask him about that if you're interested. The other thing that Barney did for us is one of the trouble that we've had with StoneEdge is the external stack controller. So whenever you go into any of our programs and you make a change, specifically cycle count, when you go in here and you make a change to the QOH, we change it within StoneEdge. We just write a new QOH to the database. So if I go in here and type QOH and then I change the 81 to 80, then what happens is we now push that to the database, and now it's changed to 80. So in StoneEdge it's changed, but does that change get propagated to all of your channels if you're using the external stack controller? And in the past, the answer was no. If you're using the internal stack controller, I believe it did, but if you're using the external stack controller, it did not. So we went to Barney again and said, hey, we want to be able to push this to the external stack controller and then have it propagate out to all of the different channels, and Barney said, yeah, I can do that. So Barney has written a second application for us that he will go in and put that in for you as well, and I'm not sure what the price of that one is. But one of the things you have to do in our settings file is you have to say you have to turn on, where is it? There's a file that we made just for Barney. Okay, log QOH changes to the RF inventory adjustments table. So we created a table called RF inventory adjustments, and so when you buy that application from Barney and you have him install it, then now what happens is any change you make you'll need to be able to turn this on. So you say yes on this, and then you have to go down here and hit submit. And now that that's submitted, any QOH change that's made by any of our applications will be written to this RF inventory settings adjustment. And then Barney's application will push that SKU to the out to the different channels that you've got. And so one of the questions that just came up was, if we do kit builder, the assembly builder, does the assembly get pushed out to the stack controller? And the answer to that is, I don't know. I'll find out, and I'm making a note of who asked that question, and I will find out and let you and get back with you. So thanks for asking that question. Let me see if there's any more questions. All right. Some suggestions here on modification. Can we add 9999 to exit from the main menu? I will check into that to see if we can do that. My hunch is that we can't. There's an applet that we pull in and use that was Landesk that we, in the early evolution of our company, we wrote software that allowed us to use a specific scanner, and then when a new scanner came along, we had to use that one as well, and it became very cumbersome. So we got an applet from Landesk that we incorporate, and it allows us to go with all of the various hardware that we offer. So the function of that menu and getting in and out of it is a function of that applet, and I'm not sure we have control over that. All right, so any other questions? If not, I appreciate your oh yeah, okay, so another question came up real quickly of the Excel count. What is the Excel count? I saw Excel count is a program that we wrote for that doesn't do anything in Stone Edge, and what it does is it creates a CSV file of just anything that you scan. So let me show you real quick. If you go into Excel count, scan your employee, then let's suppose that a semi-trailer showed up and you just wanted to get a list of what's in the semi. Well, you could walk out to the semi and just start scanning SKUs, and they don't even have to be in Stone Edge. So you scan SKUs, and what it does is let me go back in again. There's two ways you can get into it: scan mode and count mode, and I have it set for count mode. So I would type in the trailer. Let's say I want the trailer, and now the trailer, I'm going to go into the trailer and I scan a SKU, and then I enter the quantity, and then I scan another SKU and I enter that quantity. There's a bug here on clearing the line, obviously, so I have to fix that. And now when I'm done and I hit save, what it does is it writes a CSV file to the hard drive of the RF server. Let me show you here real quick. If I go to the C drive and I go under data, it created an Excel count CSV file here for today. Today's 3/10/17, and if I open up that CSV file, then what happens is you can see that Jennings went into the trailer and he counted that SKU, and that was the barcode that I scanned, and there were 12 of those, 14 of those, and 23 of those. So what this does is it allows you to, it doesn't have anything to do with Stone Edge. We had a couple customers that said, hey, we get a trailer from our supplier every day, and we just want to quickly go in and scan everything on the trailer, and we know what's there. Or we have a guy come in and he takes a bunch of stuff to a trade show in a trailer, and we want to count what was in there before he left and after he got back. And so this allows you to go in there and just count everything that's in the trailer before they drive off to the trade show, the on-site trade show, maybe in a parking lot somewhere. And then when they get back, you can scan everything and do a comparison and show what's not there, what was sold, for example. So that's the Excel count that that I wanted to show you. All right. So other than that, let me see if there's any more questions. I think we've hit our hour mark here, and I'm ready to. I've recorded the meeting, and I'll go ahead and